NBA referees are supposed to be the people that make sure the game is being conducted fairly and well within the defined rules. So what if I told you that a certain referee was not just neglecting those rules, but his decision-making was influenced by the illegal bets he had placed for the games he reffed? Crazy, right? Hello and welcome back to NBA Swish. Today we'll be talking about the NBA referee who cheated the league and stole millions. Tim Donaghy was not just a menace to one of the biggest sports leagues in the entire world, but he actually broke the sacred law of fairness in the officiating world. And I know what you must be wondering. How did he manage to do this in such a closely monitored league? Well, stick around to the end as we answer this question and more as we delve into the various ways Tim Donaghy cheated to win millions. So without further ado, let's get into it. We all know how the NBA is known for its strictness when it comes to rules. I mean, they're notorious for implementing bans on the smallest of things and strictly making sure that every rule is followed. And if not, players or teams are heavily fined. From the type of tattoos you can have to the type of hairstyle you got, everything has a set of rules that one has to follow. It's so much so that people have started to question the point of some of these rules. And the NBA has been very good at making sure that their star players in the league follow a strict regimen. However, one time, they failed to regulate one of their own, the ref. Not many people know that the NBA was rocked by a scandal that shook the sport to its foundation in the mid-2000s. Of course, an association that's so well known for its rules and integrity wouldn't want everyone to know about this scandal. I mean, it's just downright embarrassing if we're being honest. I'm talking about the Tim Donaghy scandal. That time, a veteran NBA referee with an unblemished record found himself at the center of a controversy that would forever alter the perception of basketball officiating. Thanks to him, though, the NBA took measures to hopefully prevent such an embarrassing incident from ever happening again. However, before we talk about that, let us talk in depth regarding the actual incident itself. It all started in 2007 when allegations surfaced that he was involved in betting on games he officiated. Now, this on its own might seem like a big issue, and it is, since it clearly means that some of those games were unfair to some teams. But this is just the beginning of the story. As this mind-boggling story unfolded, it became clear that this was not just a case of one person making a few bad bets, it was a systemic betrayal of the sport and its fans. Yeah, you heard that right. Donaghy was part of a huge operation that was aimed at scamming money from bets using insider trading. And who better to do that than someone who actually controls the game? It might seem like the perfect thing for any gambler to do, but still, these are referees. They are sworn to be unbiased and make sure the game is carried out fairly. And you can bet everyone, the players, the fans, the media, the league, all reacted quite strongly to this. I mean, just imagine the revelation that a referee, a supposed defender of the game's integrity, could jeopardize the very essence of fair competition. Quite simply, it shocked the basketball world. But that's not all, because, okay, sure, some official made certain calls to help his bets so that he could earn more. And it was so minimal that almost no one sensed that anything was even wrong. But when it was proven that it was actually happening, it totally ruined everything for an association like the NBA. Fans are what make this association work, what brings in the money. And when fans begin to question the legitimacy of the outcomes of those games, the NBA faces one of its most significant challenges in retaining its audience's trust. Without this trust, they're nothing. It's no wonder it was so embarrassing for him. But let's break down what Tim Donaghy actually did. His illegal activities painted the picture of a man driven by greed and a desire for personal gain. Many people suspect that what he was doing was to cover his debts. And it wasn't like he was just betting on games. He was accused of influencing calls on the court to influence the outcome of games. This not only skewed the results in his favor, but it also enabled him to establish contacts with seedy gambling rings that would give him crazy money for his betting tips. Given the accuracy of his tips, as he was the one influencing them, his compensation slowly began to rise. It's no wonder that Donaghy was so addicted to this that he continued to do it for so many years. And this begged the question, how deep did this corruption go? Was it an isolated incident or part of a larger network? As the investigation progressed, it became apparent that Donaghy's actions went beyond that of a single rogue official. It unearthed the larger picture for everyone to see. The scandal exposed flaws in the NBA's officiating system and prompted an investigation into the league's practices. Moreover, it also showed how referees could be influenced by different gambling rings and how a small gambling issue can turn into a huge problem. And speaking of being influenced, it's also said that Donaghy was showing signs of an irregular personality long before the scandal. scandal. He had an erratic personality, and many people labeled him as a loose cannon, citing his anger issues. His neighbors had also complained about him. With so many red flags surrounding someone, the least you could do is keep a check on him. Despite whatever the NBA says about making things right in the future, there is no doubt that they also played a huge role in this scandal. Rather than enforcing sometimes pointless rules on its players, they should have paid more attention to their referees. Now let's talk about what happened when the basketball world finally learned the true scope of Donaghy's actions. On August 15, 2007, during his hearing, Donaghy admitted to a long list of gambling and fixing counts. It was nothing short of astonishing in the worst ways possible. Donaghy pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges, engaging in wire fraud and transmitting wagering information. But his charges alone were not just the thing that shocked everyone. It was how he carried it out. U.S. District Judge Carol Lamont patiently listened as Donaghy unraveled his scheme, explaining how he used coded language to tip off his gambling associates about players' conditions and player-referee relations. It really was an elaborate scheme. I mean, you could just feel the suspense as he confessed to disclosing classified NBA information involving 2 pivotal games during the 06-07 season. Donaghy's admission also included his personal bets on games, and in the end, the decision was pretty straightforward. The judge's gavel fell, imposing a $500,000 fine, 15 months in prison, and ordering Donaghy to pay a minimum of $30,000 in restitution. That is nothing, in my opinion, compared to how much he negatively impacted the most prestigious basketball league in the world, and not to mention the sacred game of basketball itself. However, the scandal at least did do something good. As you all know, the NBA faced the challenge of rebuilding its image and regaining its fans' trust as Tim Donaghy faced legal consequences for his actions. It prompted the NBA to reconsider and reaffirm its commitment to the game's integrity. New rules were put in place which underlined the standards and practices that applied to officials. The league put in place new safeguards to prevent future misconduct, such as increased oversight of officials and a renewed emphasis on transparency. This almost certainly made sure that such a catastrophe would not happen in the future. Fans and players alike were shaken by the betrayal, but the league soldiered on, viewing the incident as a catalyst for growth and improvement. Whatever they were negligent of in the first place, they didn't hold back in making right. To regain fans' trust, the league took steps to ensure that officiating would be held to the highest of standards and impartiality. Slowly, people have forgotten that the scandal ever took place and have now moved on. To be fair, credit to the NBA for their swift and timely action on addressing the problem that could have unraveled the entire league. Tim Donaghy's betrayal of the NBA left a tainted mark on the sport's history. Beyond the shockwaves of the scandal itself, his actions prompted necessary reforms within the league, reinforcing the commitment to fairness and transparency. As the NBA confronted its darkest hour, it emerged stronger, implementing safeguards to protect the integrity of the game. While Donaghy's legacy remains tarnished, the league's resilience and dedication to fans have allowed basketball to thrive. The tale of Tim Donaghy serves as a cautionary reminder, ensuring that the love of the game endures, anchored in the principles of honesty and fair competition. And hopefully, we will never ever have to witness such a shambolic event in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.